Caribbean Connections TV will bring the Caribbean and its flavors to our viewers in a fresh, vibrant way that will entertain as well as educate. It's your direct connection to the Caribbean experience. Caribbean Connections TV.
Buckle your seatbelts. This is going to be an exciting, fantastic, energetic, soul-stirring ride. So don't you move.
Hey, it's Paradise and you're watching Caribbean Connections Television, connecting the Caribbean and its people.
Good afternoon. We're really excited about our mayoral debate coming up live tonight, and we have great candidates that are going to be speaking about the issues that really matter to us. So we're looking forward to you attending and participating, and more important, please make sure you do vote.
Wonderful Miss Keisha Cole, the real Keisha Cole. Miss Olivia Chow. And to my extreme left, Miss Dion Renee. And to Dion's right, Mr. Ari Goldkind. And last but certainly not least, Mr. John Tory. Now, just to let you know, we were expecting one additional candidate who doesn't seem to be here. Transportation and gridlock.
It's important that we invest in people now to make a difference in their lives right now. And for that to happen, we have to invest. And I would keep property tax rate around the rate of inflation, which right now is 2.4%. I will ask people that can pay more to pay a little bit more. So those that are buying $2 million houses and condos, they would pay 1 percentage point more on the land transfer tax so that we can pay for healthy food in schools, that we can have 36,000 more kids and in school, and that we can also pay for some buses so we can have immediate improvement, immediate public transit improvement right now. And I would also start on the subway relief line. So we need that money, and that's why I will make sure that we have the property tax and the land transfer tax to help pay for what we need.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. John Tory.
My platform is very clear in saying that I would limit property tax increases to at or below the rate of inflation. This will provide some additional revenues to the city as it continues to meet the needs of people in the city. But at the same time, I think it will force, and I think that's not a bad word, onto the city government a greater degree of accountability. When you read the story that was in today's newspaper, it's a small example, but it's repeated, unfortunately, over and over again, of them tearing up sidewalks for the second time in 2 years because somebody forgot to phone somebody else and ask a question before they did it the second time. Then you know we need more accountability over there. Property taxes at or below the rate of inflation in terms of increases going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Goldkind.
Thank you very much. How much time do I have? It wasn't
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Perfect. My answer is very clear and very different.
Sorry, that's for a rebuttal. You actually have 1 minute,
okay.
And if there is a rebuttal to your comment, that person will have 30 seconds.
Okay. How much time did I get then?
1 minute. We gave you an extra 3 seconds.
Okay.
Good? All right. I thought I had a minute. So let me use my minute to tell you why my answer is so different from Mr. Tory and Ms. Chow. My answer is I would not, under any circumstances, promise to keep the property tax rate at the rate of inflation. We have a city that needs services. We have a city that does not have a spending problem, but that has a revenue problem. And this is a city that needs to get moving. There has been a mantra that this city suffers from something called the gravy train. We do not suffer from the gravy train. I disagree with Mr. Tory and Ms. Chow that we should limit our financial future to the rate of inflation. For 50 cents a day, 50 cents a day to the average household, we can take care of all of the people in Toronto who have fallen through the margins, which we'll talk about throughout this evening. But we are not an overtaxed city. We cannot be cheap with our future. We cannot repeat the same mistakes we've been making for 30 years. We need to take our future of this city into our hands. And when you ask people if they're willing to pay just a little bit more to get the city moving, they always say yes.
Thank you. Ms. Dion Renee.
Thank you, sir. Simply, I don't believe that individual property taxes should be increased. You may all be aware that several years ago, commercial property tax was decreased by 0.5%. I don't think there's any harm in raising, again, the commercial property tax back to 1.5% so that there can be a balance in the taxes. Further, there are other ways to generate revenue, which I'll speak about a little bit later on in some of the other topics, but there are other ways to generate revenue other than continually taxing people.
Thank you. If you have a rebuttal, you have 30 seconds to do so. Only one person does. No, one person does.
Sorry, sir.
Only one individual can rebut.
How do we decide on which one?
The first one to raise their hand.
Is this like Jeopardy? You have to ring in?
Absolutely.
All right, well, I want to ring in, but I think I didn't know the rule there. So.
Those are the rules, and I'm the messenger.
All right, well, I want to rebut, but
no one, Ms. Chow, actually
she was first.
Initiated first.
Okay, so would you prefer I just jump in or raise my hands first? I'm just getting the
Well, I need some indication as to who is rebutting,
okay,
which is what you've done, and now you have 30 seconds.
Okay.
We'll try to keep some balance as to who.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it becomes like Jeopardy.
No, the idea is we have spotters here, and they will know who raised their hand first.
Now you should get us some of those bells up here so we can.
So just so that we can, this is the first round, so we're just learning the ground rules, so that I would have 30 seconds to rebut.
And then we move on.
And then we move on to another question. I got it. Okay. We are here together. The reason why I want to keep property tax at the rate of inflation is very important because there are some homeowners that have fixed income and they can't pay anymore, right? So if everything goes up and then their salary don't go up, then it's a bit hard. That's why I want it to be progressive. Those that can pay more should pay more. That's why, I know a lot of people can't afford to buy a home that is $2 million. Those that can afford to pay $2 million for a home can pay a little bit more so that we can have a better community, better society. That's what I believe in, is a progressive way of taxing. That's how I want to move forward.
Thank you. So we're now moving on to gridlock and transportation. And the question, we'll begin with John Tory. And the question is to please give a brief outline of your transit plan for the city of Toronto.
Well, first of all, I think it starts with getting traffic moving. I have a dozen points in my platform, which are there on the website, that get traffic moving, including more 24/7 construction where we can, proper coordination of construction so you don't tie up all the streets at once, better enforcement of the laws. Secondly, address issues of reliability with the transit system. There are quite a few where we see people waiting 10, 12 minutes for a streetcar or a bus and then 3 arrive at the same time. There are a lot of management issues like that, part of it related to the fact that we haven't invested in the technology for our transit vehicles. And then thirdly, the principal, more express buses, but the principal centerpiece of my transit plan is something called Smart Track, which takes 53 kilometers and puts 22 stops. We should have been building one every year for the last 25 years. This will give us a chance to catch up and erase a huge deficit. 22 new stations, 53 kilometers, and it is most of it is on existing GO train tracks. They'll be electrified. You'll have electric trains, 15 minutes service all day to move people around the city, citywide, and to provide relief on the Yonge Street line.
Thank you, Mr. Tory. Mr. Goldkind.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to use my 1 minute to answer both those questions of transit and congestion. Let's start with congestion. Paris, the city of lights. Toronto, the city of brake lights. I'm sorry to inform people, and again, I disagree with the idea that delivery trucks are going to make a dent. We need to start looking at congestion fees for this city. We need to price our roads accurately. When you explain this to people and they immediately think they're going to pay more, then you take 2 minutes, which is what a leader does, is to explain why you're going to pay less. You're going to get home an hour earlier. You're going to have more time for your job, more time for your family. You're going to clear the roads. And people in this city need to start driving at over 70 kilometers an hour rather than this bumper-to-bumper nonsense. Transit, given that I have 15 seconds left, we're at Weston and Finch. We need to start connecting parts of the city that have been left ignored, and that is the premise of the transit plan that I have coming out with next week.
Thank you. And to you, Ms. Renee.
Simply, the transit plan for the city has to be one that is proactive and that works for the people. Transit is there to serve the people. From A to B, we want to get them there on time. What's outstanding within our transit plan is the issue about accessibility. We have accessibility timelines that go to 2025. Is it fair that you and I, who might be considered to be able-bodied, can access a subway system and other people can't? We're talking about equity issues here. And what I want to see happen within transit is that all people, just like I want to see at this table, at this government table, that all people have access. So a system that is reliable, a system that is accessible, and a system that works for the people.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Chow.
I want to move people faster, cheaper, and better right now. And the first thing we do in our transit plan is improve the bus services by 10%, because a lot of people have no choice but to take buses, and they are packed and they don't come often enough. Let's improve the bus services now, because we're paying more. With TTC fares increase, we are getting less services. So let's do that right now. And secondly, I would build that Finch LRT, the light rail, right now, because it's ready. It's construction ready. Mr. Tory and Mr. Ford don't want to do that. They want to wait. And I don't think that's a good way to go. Because if we build that Finch LRT, it would mean that from Kiel over all the way to Humber College, we can save, in a return trip, 30 minutes a day. And that's good transit. I don't think the neighborhood should be left behind. That's why we need to proceed with that now. We've spent 4 years studying the LRT. It's time we put the construction, put the shovels in the ground right now.
The question is, if elected mayor, what are the policies that you would implement to increase training and mentorship for young entrepreneurship and young professionals?
Is that you have to have catalysts for job creation. And where I would start, and this is something I see every day in my day job, and yes, everybody, I actually have a day job. I'm a regular private citizen, is making sure students, particularly in communities that are disadvantaged, complete high school and get into college. Whatever can be done in any community to reduce the dropout rate, to give people a vision of where they can go, to me is the key before you even start talking about jobs. And in the 30 seconds I have left, I want to give you an anecdote. Mr. Tory was part of Civic Action. You may all know what that was. Last week, I went to a gathering where Civic Action put out a plan for youth mentoring and youth entrepreneurship. And the person on the stage from that community was a basketball player. I actually think it would serve the community much better if the person on the stage, to give an example to young people of where they could go, was a doctor or a lawyer who made it through, not a basketball player.
Ms. Renee?
Well, simply, entrepreneurship is all about creativity. It's what you see as a business plan and then executing that business plan. And the city used to support youth in their entrepreneurial plans and agendas, but we've reduced some of those objectives. And what I'm saying is that I, on my platform, is saying that I support and want to promote entrepreneurs. Not only youth entrepreneurs, but also anyone else who's believing in entrepreneurship. I think that is what's going to create more jobs, more employment for all of our sectors. So not only that, with regards to social entrepreneurship, I want to focus on that. Because through social entrepreneurship, we're going to be able to address other areas that we're outstanding in. And this is what I was mentioning earlier when I said there are other ways of generating revenue for the city. You've heard this term now I can't say it, reciprocity. And with reciprocity, that's giving back to society that you get. So it's obvious that if a business is making money, they should be able to give back to society.
Thank you. Ms. Chow?
Well, it's pretty serious when 1 in 5 young people can't find a job. It's a crisis. It's gotten worse in the last 4 years. And I believe the city government has a role to play. Yes, you can have all the mentorship, all the relationships, and all the connections you can get, but at the end of the day, you can get all the training. If there's no jobs, not going to get anywhere. So, I plan to create 5,000 jobs using city capital budget, because when the city are asking the companies to fix our road, build housing, build libraries, whatever they're building, if the contract is big, we want this company to sign an agreement called Community Benefits Agreement, where they have to hire young people, provide training, make sure they have a good job. We did that at Regent Park. 500 jobs got created. Good jobs, good paying jobs, providing hope in the neighborhood. We can do that right across this city, and we can then create 5,000 jobs giving hope to young people.
Now to Mr. Tory.
I'll just start off by saying, Ari, I think you made a bad mistake criticizing Jerome McGlure being at that news conference, because he was not there. He's not there as a basketball player. He was there as a role model of somebody who's got involved helping kids find jobs. I think we start with stay-in-school targets. We've got to set some targets. There's an unacceptably higher role of school dropout among black youth in particular, and I think we've got to start with some targets to bring that down. We've got to engage small and medium-sized businesses in identifying opportunities to take on these kids and give them that first bit of experience that they need. They told us in the exercise that I helped to run for Civic Action to find out what we were going to do to help kids. They told us that the availability of information about jobs was not transparent enough, that we needed to use technology and social media and places they would look to find those jobs. We have to make sure that we have a skills match that is right. So we have kids coming out of school, once they've stayed in school, that have the right skills to get jobs. And we do have to do mentorship. Mentorship is important. And then on top of all of that, I have pledged in my first year to double the number of companies that are involved in the city's most successful youth employment program called PAY, which will double the number of opportunities for jobs for those kids.
Thank you. Mr. Goldkind.
Thank you. John, I'm actually going to double down on that, and I appreciate that it plays easily, and it's a nice soundbite to say he's there as a role model. I double down on my point that I think more people in the black community and other kinds of communities that don't have the same shot and access that I've had, that the role model is a young professional, a financial advisor, somebody like Andre Domise being on the stage, not somebody who is a rock star or a basketball player. That's my belief, and I'm very comfortable with it. I just want to say, moving off that for a minute, childcare is an issue that affects jobs. Access to credit, that's something that's not talked about enough, and it's a conversation we should be having about systemic racism that keeps so many people who want to work and start a business
Thank you, Mr. Goldkind.
Thank you, Farley.
Any further rebuttals?
Well, I want to say, when Ari brought up, I know it's a little bit off topic, but he talked about systemic racism. The reality is, systemic racism will continue everywhere if we don't make a change today. If we don't start waking up and stop drinking the Kool-Aid as to what you're being fed in the media, as to who are the lead candidates. Right. Notice there's a diverse representation out there. I am one of them. and you haven't heard about me. Why is that? Because it's the same way that our youth are not having access, is the same way that I'm not having access. Pay attention.
Invite our fifth candidate. I guess he's physically addressing the gridlock and transportation issue. Right. Please welcome Mr. DeWitt.
I'll be brief.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If I can take 30 seconds just to thank the BBPA and the JCA for allowing this very important forum of discussion and community to take place. I want to address the fellow candidates here. Glad to see a great level of diversity sitting here, and I think this is what makes strong and wonderful and beautiful. And I believe the question, in fact, is about youth jobs, correct? Well, you know, Ms. Torrey, Ms. Chow, you talk a little bit about setting a number, and I think the province has helped us by setting a goal with their youth employment grants and funding, and I think we need to work to make sure that that number is realized. I think we need to make sure that the small businesses, especially those that belong to the BBPA, are taking advantage of the grants that are available for businesses to hire youth. And we also need to make sure that the youth are ready with the skill sets to enter into the workspace. And I think our youth are ready and willing for that kind of opportunity.
Thank you. So we'll move to you, John, with the rebuttal.
Well, on the rebuttal, I'll deal with two things in the 30 seconds. Number one, if you had a choice between the head of TTC service saying to you there were no buses and a politician seeking office saying there are buses, which one do you think you might believe? Anyway, never mind. Let's talk about the unacceptably higher level of unemployment that exists as well among black youth. And in the end, what that says to me, and I have set a very clear target, for example, of doubling the number of companies participating in the pay program, but I will also say to you right now that the BBPA and its members should be seeking more than the fair share, a fair share and more, because of the higher rate of unemployment, of the $295 million set out by the provincial government to help create opportunities for those young people. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Mr. Torrey, you said what I said.
Mr. Lee, if
I like that.
because you just arrived, you actually have the opportunity to rebuttal for 30 seconds. Do you have anything?
Well, that's exactly what I just said, so I certainly wouldn't rebuttal that fact by Mr. Torrey.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
How well do you think tonight went with the debates?
Not because I'm one of the organizers of this event, but when I take a glimpse at most of the debates that have gone on before, I think this is one of the better ones, and maybe the best in terms of the time commitment and the order. And a couple of the more diverse events that I've gone to and I've seen on TV, I have not been impressed. And so one of our objectives was to ensure that we had the kind of tone up front. And so I know I had to do a little bit of, You
set that straight.
Yeah.
You want people to be forward, the answers to be direct, and no games.
That's right. And I think they adhere to the little norms that we're hoping to achieve throughout the discussion. And I think it went well, and I really applaud my organizers as well as the media for coming out and giving us, view time.
Yes, I'm here with John Torrey. What makes you stand out than the other candidates? What are the three main things that makes you different than the other candidates?
Well, I think if it's for people in the African, Canadian, Caribbean community, it's the long history of, and relationship that I have with the community, and I think that should allow them to trust me, to know that I have not just shown up at the last minute as a political candidate to express interest in some of these issues of concern to this community, but I have a long history of working with the community to try and find solutions. I think secondly, it's my competence and experience, which will allow me to run the government and do the things I've said I would do. And I think thirdly, it is that I'm going to bring something that is much different than what we've seen the last 4 years, where we've seen division, hypocrisy, and just a kind of general driving of people apart. And I intend to change that, bring people together, work with the City Council, work with the other governments to get things done for people, including the people in the Caribbean and the Black community.
What can you do to motivate the youths to improve their lives? What,
Well, I think the best thing we can do is give them an example, help them with role models, help them with some mentorship. I think these are all things that were in the report that I wrote for the Ontario government, suggesting how we could help unemployed young people generally. But I think it includes very much the higher number of young people in the black community who are unemployed. And I think they need some hope. And I think mentorships and a bit of opportunity are going to provide them with a degree of hope. And I'm very much looking forward to taking that challenge on among many others as the Mayor of Toronto.
wonderful. I was looking at the debate last night. How do you think that went? Do you think you underestimated Doug Ford?
No. I mean, he just chose to speak very loud, and he had a lot of people in the audience who were shouting and yelling and so on. And so it made it seem like a very rowdy affair. But if you sort of look at what he said, it was pretty divisive and pretty negative, and it really wasn't much about what he was going to do, but rather, it was kind of a continuation of this business where it saw him call the city councillors monkeys and say the Premier of Ontario should grow up. I just don't think this is the way we're going to get things done for the people.
How about him accusing you of not having enough experience in City Hall?
Well, the interesting part of it is that he sort of plays these games, and at the end of the day, it's about strong leadership, and it's about going to City Hall and working with people to get things done. And I know that I can do that. I've done it over and over again in other areas of life, and I will do it at the City Hall. And it won't be the kind of division and negativity we've seen from him for quite some time now.
If you had a chance to re-answer his question, would you have answered it differently or just change the subject?
People may want to think about this. If it comes down to a question of how many floors there are in the City Hall or how many committees there are or anything else, does that matter as much as your ability to get results for people, to work with the City Council, to work with the Premier of Ontario and the Prime Minister of Canada to get the money we need to build transit and build housing? Those are the kinds of things I'm about. I'll figure things out there fairly quickly. I've done that before, but a leader must be a leader. And I will provide strong leadership for the people and a breath of fresh air at City Hall.
All right. One second. How about Olivia accusing you of saying whatever you can to get elected? Everything you say, you stand by it. Can we trust you?
Yes, you can. And I think people know they can trust me. They've seen that I do what I say and I say what I do. I have a long history of that in the community, and these are the kinds of things people say in politics. I think we should all spend more time talking about our own ideas, which I try to do for the future of the city, and less time talking about everybody else's.
Thank you. And if you weren't running for mayor, last question, who would you vote for?
I'm voting for myself, and I plan
You weren't wearing.
No,
So I'm here with Olivia. How are you?
Oh, it was great.
So how's the campaign? Last time we spoke, you were energetic. I noticed that you've changed and you're more serious and focused now.
Well, because it's getting closer to the election, and I'm seeing a lot more difference between me versus Doug Ford and John Tory.
Yes.
I say no to carding, that we need to ban it. The others said, study some more and we'll reform it. No, we should just stop carding. I say that let's build that Finch LRT right now so people can move faster in 5 years. Buses right now. And the other two said no. So I'm a very different person than the other two. That's why I got more serious, because the difference between us are more.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a big difference. Is it hard being with them, the struggle that you, like last debate last night, they were like against each other. You're like mother saying, behave you two, behave yourself. Are they like little kids, or is it hard to control them sometimes?
Well, they are into doing personal attack with each other. I don't believe we should do that. I would talk about differences, right? That I want bus services now and they don't. And I want LRT right now, they don't. I want to feed kids and create jobs, they don't. So I rather focus on that rather than, you're this, you call that person, like name calling. That's not my cup of tea. And actually got people there are some people that had racist comments, told me that I should go home, back to China. Oh, yeah. I say that.
You have to put up with that?
Yeah. So someone that said, you're not even a Canadian. Like I've been a member of Parliament. I represented Canada.
Yeah, but what is Canadian besides, unless you're native?
Exactly. One said I should go home, back to China. I didn't even come from China, but never mind.
Just go back there anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's really...
a bit of racist stuff going on.
But you're a strong person. You're used to that.
No problem.
Yeah. Off your back. Roll off your back.
That's right.
Okay. So how do you think the debate went today and last night?
There was really good questions, and it was great. A lot of good dialogue, and it's really well run. The place was full, and this is exciting. I'm just excited. There's all this energy, and that means people are going to go out to vote and make a difference. And remember, improvement right now, investment now, not 10 years from now. Our kids grow up too fast. So let's just do it now.
Well, you're doing a great job. Good to represent the women and minorities.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So we're here with Dion Renee. How are you?
I am looking for your vote. How am I? I'm fierce.
Yeah. I noticed that, this is actually the first time I'm speaking to you. Why haven't I seen you more, especially at last night's debate?
Well, Paradise, I don't think that's a question you need to be asking me, because as some of you already know, I've been fighting my way to get into the debate tables and actually getting kicked out. Why? Because they're not interested in democracy. They're not interested in allowing our diverse voices to be heard. Unfortunately, Mrs. Chow and Mr. Tory have stood by as democracy was constrained. They said nothing while I was being kicked out. So believe you me when I say if they remain silent for me, they're going to remain silent for you.
Wait, they actually kicked you out? Shouldn't you be there? Like, as a candidate?
You're asking the person the question that believes that I should be there? Obviously I should be there.
So you were there last night but got kicked out, is what you're saying?
I wasn't at that event last night. Other events, the transit event and the Film Ontario event. And both the Film Ontario event, Mr. Mrs. Chow and Mr. Tory stood by and did nothing. So again, if people are not willing to fight for you, if the people are not willing to fight to be inclusive, they're not going to do it any other time.
Well, luckily you're here today.
Yes.
And we got a chance to hear from you, our viewers on Caribbean Connections TV.
I want to say, Paradise, because all you heard from me was about my fight to make sure that we have a seat at the table. But what I want to include is that we have Mrs. Hewitt here. She's 92 years old.
Hello, Mrs. She's like,
yeah.
She didn't want you to tell her.
She turned 92 yesterday, so
happy birthday, belated.
Yes. And she has been in this country since 1955. And quite frankly, she's been waiting a long time to see change. She's in support of me, and she's excited about me running because she knows that I'm fearless. She knows that I'm going to stand for the public. She knows that I'm not easily intimidated by anybody, and I'm not talking nonsense. I'm talking common sense. Common sense issues that really affect people's lives. So she's here to come to support today, and she was going to make sure nobody's going to kick me out, but I had no concern about being kicked out here today. In fact, this was an inclusive event that there were no security guards at. There was no need to have security guards, but you have to ask yourself, why at other events that they have security guards? Why are they being exclusive? Why are they doing those things? You can't ask me that question because I'm asking the same question. But you need to ask yourself that question. Are you willing to continue to keep drinking the Kool-Aid of what's being told to you, what's being shown to you? Or are you willing to make an individual decision to go to the voting booth early, that is October 14th to 19th, to vote Dion Renee on Election Day so that you can have a change in your life, so that you can have your life be materially benefiting just like the 2% is currently benefiting. Remember,
let me ask
we're 98% of people who are underrepresented in society. Let's make sure we get our representation on that day. Vote Dion Renee on Election Day.
Do you think Miss Renee will say what she's doing, will do what she's saying?
If she
you have faith in her?
Say it.
She's like, that's her personality.
Well, she said to you, say your answer again.
If she wasn't going to do it, she wouldn't have said it.
That's right. Am I a person of
support
my
her?
word?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are the qualities that she possessed that none of the other candidates possess?
Are you going to put this on TV too?
You don't want to be on television?
No.
Too late.
She's a little bit shy, but she's pretty fierce too. Don't make a
one
mistake.
of her greatest qualities.
She's personal. She's friendly. She helps.
She gets her point across, I notice.
That's right. That's right, Paradise.
Okay,
Caribbean Connections is giving us an opportunity. So Caribbean Connections people, viewers, pay attention to what you've observed today. Pay attention to what's been going on for the amount of time that you've been in Toronto. Pay attention that you're not being served. I desire to serve you. That is actually the quality that I truly preserve, is servitude. And I believe that more of us who are in, well, I'm not in government yet, but with your vote I'll be there. But anybody working with government needs to have the attitude of servitude because we're here to serve you. Not the other way around. I want to empower you to remember that the government is there to serve you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paradise.
I'm here, one of the other candidates for the mayor, Mr. Goldkind. Hello. Welcome to Caribbean Connections Television.
It's great to be on Caribbean Connections Television.
This is the first time we're actually getting to meet you on Caribbean Connections Television. We haven't seen you around lately.
I actually haven't been around, and that's my biggest strength, is that I'm not a politician. And the reason I am here and fourth in the mayoral race is because people really like what I have to say.
And what makes you stand out from the other candidates? What 3 things that you'll do that makes you stand out?
One, I tell the truth. People really respond to that. I'm honest. You can ask me a question right now about anything, you're going to get a real answer. 2, I don't pretend that we're living in an era where people don't need help. I'm not about saying no. And 3, what people really appreciate is I believe leadership means saying to people, here's really what the facts are. Here's the choices that we have. If you want to say no to everything, you get the city we have now, stuck in traffic, gridlock, everything. Or you can say yes, and for just a few extra cents, the city becomes much more amazing than it is.
Okay, so what can you do, or what will you do when you become mayor to motivate the youth to improve their lives?
Well, I talked about this tonight. One of the things that bothers me, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so I'm around youth who have gone. I see a lot of negativity, but it's because youth don't have hope. And, you know, Mr. Tory and I really disagreed tonight because his view of a role model is a raptor. My view of a role model is a young doctor who's black, a young lawyer who's black, a young accountant who's black, somebody who's running for office who's black. It's not somebody who dribbles a basketball. And if that's not something that's easy for people to hear, I'm fine with that.
Okay, what can you say to Caribbean Connections so they'll vote for you?
I don't really ask people to vote for me. I ask.
Don't vote for you.
Right? No, but it's true. Like some people disagree with me, say, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for you." I'm like, so don't. But if you're interested in getting the city moving, getting traffic looked after, getting some transit built, not having TTC go up every year, while people like me, who drive, keep cutting. The city makes it cheaper for me to drive. It should be more expensive for me to drive, so that people who need buses, subways get around. And the last reason people should vote for me is because I will actually deliver on what I'm saying. And that's the key, delivering.
How much experience do you have in politics? Because I know you're a lawyer, but how much experience do you have in politics?
Here's the thing, absolutely none. And that's what makes me more appealing to people, because they're tired of the same, they're tired of the same promises, the same people, and they're seeing, most importantly, that those people haven't delivered results.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's Paradise here with Mr. Lee. Hi.
So good to see you again. Thank you for all your help. I got to say, thank you for coming, streaming this thing. My mother got a chance to watch it. Hi, Mom.
So after I got your text that you're going to wear yellow tie, I decided to wear my yellow blazer.
That's right, busy as a bee. That's how, vote for Lee, stays busy as a bee.
Okay, so how do you think the mayoral debate went today?
Well, I think we accepted a whole lot of rhetoric, a lot of lecturing and gesturing. I think we need to hold people a little bit more accountable to real action steps. A lot of the things that I introduced were actual action steps that I would take if elected mayor, but also if not. And I think that's what we need to care about, a candidate who has a plan, whether they get elected or not. And I think we need to really focus on those kind of candidates and give them our support.
I was wondering, why weren't you there last night with the debate between...
Well, you know what? It's a matter of being invited in.
See, I don't know anything about how this works, but I was wondering, well, you were too busy. Why wouldn't you weren't invited? You have to be invited.
It's certainly a priority for me to be present and get a chance to stand shoulder to shoulder with the fellow candidates. But you know what? We continue to knock on doors, and I continue to ask Team Believe to advocate for me. We still haven't been invited on Metro Morning. We still haven't been invited on Breakfast TV. So there's a lot of different spaces that we would like to get a chance to interact and connect. So I invite everyone to continue to send them messages and say, hey, listen, we want diversity in your representation.
Because we want to hear from all the candidates, so we'll know, what to choose.
It's true. I mean, too much choice does get a little bit complicated. I mean, sometimes you just want to see vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. The more ideas, I think what is most important, then the more solutions get suggested. And I think that's
What would you do, because I asked the other candidates this, to motivate the youths to improve their lives?
Well, I think, you know what, I wear it. See the message? See the message there? Rise up and build. And you know what, we talking about build confidence, build up your family, build up your bank account, build up your community. I mean, there's so many different things. We need to build bridges into, into other communities. I mean, so many times young people find themselves living in just one part of Toronto, and they have businesses, they have books, they have music, and they have to branch out. So build relationships and bridges into other parts of the city, and you will find like-minded people who will support you. You just have to just believe enough in yourself and go and rise up. Out of a lot of chaos, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion, and young people find themselves getting caught up in that. And you know what, we just ask them to rise above all of the negativity and just believe in themselves and build something special.
What would you do to help out single moms or low-income people?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I know single moms, I come from a single mom household. My father passed away when I was 6, so I mean I understand the challenges of a single mother, and I think what's important is that we identify resources that are available to the moms. Sometimes they just feel so burdened by what they don't have. They don't get a chance to look out to say what really does exist. And I think there's a lot of different programs that are designed. I mean, the city council, I got to take my hat off to them. They pump more money into child care services. So there are services available, but we just need to try to connect the dots. And if they run out of options, and if all the grant money is dried up, I have to ask the moms to try to do their best to actually work with the family. Try to rebuild that family base. I mean, if maybe the father of the child may not be available, maybe there's other members of the family that might want to be involved. I think it takes a village to raise a child, and if we turn our backs on the actual family dynamic, then we're losing something very special. So moms, don't give up hope on dad.
Address the crime in our, in the black community.
Well, you know what? All communities seem to be plagued by crime. I mean, unfortunately, ours happens to result in violence, right? Ours happens
among each other.
Ours happens to result in young people being killed. There is no magic solution.
Where can we start? Where would you start as mayor?
Well, we have a lot of initiatives right now that work on anger management, and I think these are whenever the bullet comes out of a gun, it's because someone just felt no other options, and they just made a decision that was their only option. And I think we need to introduce more options to our young people right away. We need to ask them how you're doing. We need to stop looking at someone who's in a bad mood and saying that's a bad dude, right? It's just a bad mood doesn't make you a bad dude. And I think we need to identify people who may be in a boiling point situation and help them. For instance, I seen a dad with his child on a streetcar, and the kid was screaming, and the dad was ready to lose it. And I put out my pocket a lollipop. I said, Dad, this can help, right? And you know what? I caught that moment of him maybe yelling, maybe giving this kid a whooping, whatever could have happened, but I was able to identify it and stop it. So I would like all leaders, to just be cautious of what's happening to our young people. And when you see that water boiling, please intervene and make a difference.
Thank you once again for being on Caribbean Connections TV.
Bye-bye, Mom. Thanks, guys.
You're going to get results because I'm here for the long haul. And I'm inviting you to be part of this very special journey that I'm on. I represent a high moral standard. I am committed to serving the city of Toronto with every breath in my lungs. And I promise I will not let you down. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's Paradise, and you're watching Caribbean Connections Television, connecting the Caribbean and its people.
So keep your eyes glued to Caribbean Connections TV.
You have no idea what we have been drinking from morning. I said you have no idea what we have been drinking since the morning. We power levels up. Push your rag and fast them up. We power levels up. Push your rag and fast them up, we power levels up. Push your rag and fast them up. Like a package we sell. We charge up, we charge up, we charge up. Boom,
that's you. I notice you look kind of weary and sick. If you want to feel lively and you want to be able to get up and whine for hours, you need to go to Caribbean Connect TV on YouTube and you need to subscribe. I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. My name is Nurse Carib. And you need to subscribe, people. You need to subscribe to Caribbean Connect TV. And you'll feel better. You'll feel more alive. You'll feel hotter. Just like the Caribbean sun, you'll get hot. What you waiting for? Get up and subscribe. The show over.
Caribbean Connections TV, hosted by Paradise Nicole Hendrickson, star of television, stage, and film. Caribbean Connections TV will bring the Caribbean and its flavors to our viewers in a fresh, vibrant way.
Evening and for another year, Miss Leyu, Nicole Hendrickson.
HD and you're locked on Caribbean Connection 1 on TV, Toronto, big up yourself.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for more exciting footage, interviews, and prize giveaways.
Caribbean Connections TV will take you back to the islands.
Oh, yeah, it's a time missing you like crazy. Missing you, oh girl, baby, me L-O-V-E-Y, oh you, baby, me love you. From here, the voice, I know it's IACT representing for Caribbean Connection TV. Lord, Canada to the world, sick.